Welcome everyone to our Patching Superhero segment. We have with us again
The amazing
Lillian Walker.
Yeah.
She is an absolute powerhouse. I choose to know what her full credentials are, but she was hit by a bus and
Well,
she's
she was supposed to go to medical school, and now she's a neuro holistic practitioner, whatever that means.
but she's certified in a lot of stuff. So and
she
she
is.
knows her stuff and she's well studied. Anyway, she is going to talk to us today about one of our
Favorite.
pillared, cornerstone patches that we rely on, and that is glutathione.
Yes.
So welcome to the show, Dame Lillian. Welcome back to the Patching Superheroes, Lillian.
Oh, thank you for having me back. I'm so extremely overjoyed to be here in the company of two wonderful, great biohackers.
We're so excited to have you back. We're going to have you back on a regular basis. So
thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So we wanted to talk to you today, or rather pick your brains about glutathione and the patch that LifeWave have.
Well, Annie, maybe you can pull up the glutathione presentation. I love talking about glutathione because as a clinical neurosomatic practitioner where I repattern the brain from physical and emotional trauma, I have a lot of people who have different types of brain conditions, one of them being traumatic brain injuries and the others being different type of neurological conditions. And most people may or may not be aware, but glutathione is found in every single cell in your body. Glutathione is something that your brain signals your liver to manufacture. And then your liver manufactures glutathione, and then it sends it through your bloodstream to every single organ of the body, every single muscle of the body, and therefore also every cell of the body. And to the degree that you have good glutathione levels, you're very healthy and you're doing well. But when you are having low glutathione levels, then there's all sorts of manifestations and symptoms that take place. And then most people who have neurological disorders or conditions or syndromes, they will find that when we go to measure the glutathione levels, they have either low or almost no glutathione, which is why then it might be recommended for them to take supplementation of glutathione through IV or through other means. And so glutathione is fantastic for not just cognitive function. It's tied to your proprioceptive system as well as your nociceptive system. What's your nociceptive system? So your nociceptive system, because glutathione is affecting the nervous system, glutathione affects your nociceptive system, which is your ability to have feelings and being able to identify pain. Now, most people would say, well, it's like, why would I want to be able to feel pain? Well, most people don't think about this way, but the reality is the reason why we have pain is to protect us. If we did not have pain receptors, for example, on our hands, and we put our hands on a burner on a hot stove that has a fire on, our hand, because we don't feel anything, we would actually burn off our entire hand and not just lose that hand. We would also be at risk of losing our entire arm and then potentially losing our entire lives. But because we do have a well-working nociceptive system and our autonomic nervous system is in balance where all the pain receptors are working as they should, pain is there to curb your behavior. So as you feel the heat, you feel the fire, you reflex back. You don't even have to think about it. The pain makes you automatically recoil your hand, therefore protecting your hand and protecting it from being destroyed. As we move forward, we are talking about glutathione, and we are also talking about general wellness products. We don't make any medical claims. We don't treat, cure, heal, or diagnose anything. We are simply sharing with you this life-saving technology, which is FDA compliant Class 1 medical device, and it's being delivered through the mechanism of this Class 1 medical device, which is called the stem cell activation patch, which you can see right here on my wrist. You'll also see one here next to my charm on my chest. And so, but there are different ways of receiving glutathione. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. The other thing to note is that glutathione is very, very much necessary for good eye health. So anyone who has any kind of compromise in the state of being of their eyes, whether it's vision or whether it's glaucoma, cataracts, different type of conditions that you might have of the eye, maybe you have a retinal tear, maybe you have neuropathy behind the eye. Again, I want you to think about what I just said about the nociceptive system and your pain receptors, your ability to feel pain. How many of us are aware of people in our environment, people that we know, friends of friends even, who have neuropathy, which is, a place of disease in the hands where they actually have either neuralgia, which is extreme pain, at the hands or at the feet, as an example, or they may have the opposite, where they actually have no feeling in their hands or no feelings in their feet. And the fact that they don't have feeling in their hands or feet is signaling to you that the glutathione levels are probably low and that efficiency in the body, therefore throwing off that nociceptive system that we just talked about. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that neuropathy had anything to do with glutathione. That's very interesting.
Yeah, because again, glutathione is found in every organ, every muscle of the body, and it's tied to your nociceptive system, your ability to feel pain. And if people just turn around their mindset and begin to open their minds to the notion that pain is there to curb your behavior. So let's talk about that more, because I think that goes really well in hand with glutathione and just overall health and well-being. Someone who is chronically suffering from headaches, for example, sometimes getting rid of headaches or migraines are as simple as you're drinking 50% your weight in fluid ounces of water. Why? Because for starters, your brain is 75% water. Your brain is very hydrophilic. Your brain is also very glutathione hungry. It requires glutathione for all the the neurons to make their connections, to fire and wire together and do everything that it needs in this complicated orchestration with every kind of instrument you can think of. It requires a fair amount of glutathione, which is why oftentimes you will see people who suffer either senility, dementia, Alzheimer's. When you test their glutathione levels, you'll see that they have very low glutathione levels. It's either no glutathione or very little glutathione. And so by the simple act of increasing their glutathione inside their bodies, all of a sudden they start to regain cognitive function. They start to regain memories. They're starting to gain clarity, mental focus, cognitive increases where their brain is literally actually working faster. And instead of them searching for words, all of a sudden, boom, they're able to speak without. They're like, instead of knowing that there's a word that they want to say, but they can't get their hands on it, so to speak. No, that kind of clears up as they have increased levels of glutathione. So let's talk about what our glutathione patch does. Very powerful patch. And this is a master antioxidant. We have multiple master antioxidants in the body, glutathione being one of them. Some will argue that glutathione is the be-all, end-all. I think there's about 50% of the scientific and medical community that will say glutathione is the number one. And then the other half is like, no, melatonin is. I think there's probably, they're kind of even Steven. But glutathione is so powerfully important because, as you guys are all aware, if you have zero immune system, you're dead. No one can survive without an immune system. If your immune system is shut down, in fact, you don't have any protection, and so you're literally a goner. Goner being a technical word. So glutathione is your master detoxifier. So it's your master antioxidant that is responsible for detoxifying your body. So how do we detoxify? Through urination, defecation, and perspiration. Basically, sweat, pee, and poop it out. Easy peasy. So as far as your body is concerned, like we as humans, we have all these labels and we have all these little boxes that we want things in. But our immune system and the way the body is designed to detoxify, it does not care if it's detoxifying you from an environmental toxin that you drank, that you ate, that you inhaled, that you injected, that you absorbed through the skin. Doesn't matter what the delivery system is. It's going to detoxify you because your immune system is responsible for detoxification. Your immune system is also responsible from detoxifying you from any environmental germ, virus, or bacteria. We all are a host to millions of colonies of all sorts of germs, viruses, bacteria, and parasites, and all sorts of little creatures that are inside of our bodies. Some of them that are supposed to be there legitimately, and then some of them that are foreign invaders that don't belong there. And make no mistakes, when any of those germs, viruses, or bacteria die, they create toxins. But while they're alive in your body, they're also creating toxins. And so your immune system's job is to detoxify you against any and all germ, virus, bacteria, and any kind of environmental toxin. Or, we think of environmental toxins as always out there. But you got to think, every time you're eating lettuce, arugula, avocados, all of those are coming from plants. You're eating your environment. And as my mentor, Dr. Jack Kruse, who is a wonderful photobiomodulation expert, he's also a world-renowned brain surgeon, specializes in brain surgery, neck surgery, and spine surgery. And he talks about how food is a light barcode, and it's a light barcode and a delivery system to get more electrons and electrolytes into your body. So as you eat that lettuce, if that lettuce was sprayed with some sort of, environmental toxin, well, guess what? Now your body, yes, you're going to get the information that you need, the nutrients and the information that you need. But at the same time, your body also has to purge and get rid of whatever toxins may have been sprayed on that. Or if in a less likely event or less desirable event, let's say it's a genetically modified lettuce, well, now you have, xenoestrogens that are created, and you have things like glyphosate that's created that it's not supposed to be in there, but because it is, now your body has to detoxify you. It's part of your immune system is going to purge and get rid of that through, like I said before, urination, defecation, and perspiration, the good old sweat, pee, and poop it out system. Let's also talk about the skin, because glutathione is found throughout your skin. Your skin being the largest organ of the body, it's considered your third kidney. Whenever you have a payload that is above the capacity for your kidneys to pass through waste and pass through toxins, and if it's too much for your kidneys for you to urinate it out, and if it's too much for your liver for you to poop it out through your digestive system, then it's going to take your third kidney, which is your skin, and it's going to try and release everything through your skin. So most people don't put two and two together, and they think, okay, psoriasis, eczema, seborrhea, dermatitis, or oftentimes a dermatologist will just call it dermatitis, which just means inflammation of the skin. Make no mistakes, if you have inflammation of the skin of any type or sort, whether you think it's allergic in nature or otherwise, there are toxins that are trying to be purged from your body that you simply cannot urinate it and defecate it out, or because a little bit of the toxins come out as you exhale as well. So you will purge some of it through the skin, but if it's more than the normal, then that's when you have skin eruptions and you have skin inflammation. So that is just signaling to you, it's like, oh, my liver and my kidneys are struggling to get rid of these toxins. And so you might need to give it additional assistance through, for example, these patches, whether it's the mother stem cell activation patch that increases your natural glutathione levels by as much as 30%, but the glutathione patch that we have separate from that works beautifully in concert, creating a beautiful harmony, is this glutathione patch. And that increases your natural glutathione levels to what you had when you were a child before your stem cells turned off at 30 years of age, because 50% of your stem cells turn off. So now it's going to increase based on your original playbook. Let's say that in comparison from conception to now, you need 333% higher glutathione levels, then that's what you're going to have within 24 hours of having worn the glutathione patch.
Wow.
So it's really quite extraordinary what this, this gladiator called glutathione does for us, because it detoxifies us, it boosts our immune system, it increases our antivirals. It's a remarkable radioprotector against DNA damage. Our DNA, you may or may not be aware, but your DNA is 92% composed of water. So Think about that. 92% composition of DNA is water. 8% is other matter. So that is the primary structure that's holding up that DNA. Glutathione is a radioprotector against that DNA damage. Do you think that perhaps it might be a good idea to pay attention to your glutathione levels and at least start to do things that can help repair, restore, and recuperate the glutathione levels that you once had? Because we're all older than we were, when we were kids. We're all grown-ups now, right? Mm-hmm. So it's very important to be aware of these things. And as I mentioned before, the appropriate level of glutathione, because it's found in every cell, will improve your skin appearance. So if you have fine lines and wrinkles, again, glutathione is found head to toe everywhere in the body, inside and out.
I was just if I can just interject, Lillian, I was just mentioning to Jody before about how, because I've been using the glutathione patch pretty much from day dot of getting on the patches, and I've been on them for over 6 months now. And so my sunspots that I had on my driving hand, and liver spots that I had on my torso for as long as I can remember, my mum says since before I was 3, that they've faded. And so it's interesting then that that glutathione has such a significant role in the health of our skin. But it makes sense that now that you've explained it.
Yeah. And I had some what I considered fungus weird stuff on my torso from another thing I did, and they were there for months, and it was really irritating. But they're gone. They're all gone now.
Yeah, and it takes time. It's not something that you're going to put the glutathione patch and then everything is going to clear up. 24. No, it takes time. It took time for that to manifest, and sometimes we do things inadvertently and in ignorance. We don't know that this could be harmful to yourself. Like last August, I had a piece of beef and I didn't know that it had been injected with quite a bit of penicillin, apparently. And it's not the restaurant's fault. I happen to be highly allergic to penicillin. Well, I was like one step away from being in the emergency room. I had a huge, allergic reaction, almost anaphylactic shock. Luckily, my airways didn't close up. But 3 hours after I ate that, my head was on fire. My lymph nodes were screaming. I was beet red. My throat, my armpits, anywhere I had lymph nodes, my groin area. And it was crazy how my body immediately said no, because I'm allergic to penicillin.
Wow.
Long story short is that you better bet your bottom dollar that I doubled up on the glutathione patches. I didn't wear just one. I went to 2 and then 3. And then, of course, we have an anti-inflammatory patch, the Eon patch, which I also doubled up on. I had 3 of those on as well because I needed to help my body. I also did have to, I was doing detox baths like once, twice, sometimes 3 times a day. Because again, because my skin was so inflamed. And I want you to think about the word inflammation, because we hear inflammation and it's like we hear chicken. We just hear inflammation. Yeah. People don't really realize really what inflammation is. And the certain amount of inflammation is good because it signals more blood flow to that area of the body that has damaged cells, which is also signaling your stem cells to go to this area because there's damaged cells there. But inflammation, inflames is what inflammation is. It's telling you that you have fire inside of the body. There's something that is burning up and something that is not going quite right that needs cellular repair. And so an extra blood flow, extra heat, extra light gets sent to that area in order to repair it, because now your stem cells go, whoa, inflammation over here, damaged cells. That's our red flag. We know exactly where we need to go. Yeah, and everything is connected. And so I think as we move forward, just letting people become aware, it's like, yeah, if you have inflammation anywhere in your body, you have fire going on inside of your body. And that's something you want to not ignore and poo-poo and say, well, it'll just go away on its own. No, pain is there to curb your behavior. So there's something that you're doing. Like in my case, there's something I did. I ate a piece of tri-tip that made my body go, whoa, it's like an alert, emergency. This is like, this can't happen again. Now, and then it took me like 90 days to unravel of that damage. And like I said, I had to, in addition to what I was doing here, I also did detox baths because I recognized my skin is trying to, because it's too much for my kidneys and too much for my liver to do internally. So it had to go exogenously. It had to go through my skin and use that large organ to get rid of it as much as possible. And so horrible itching, horrible like heat. It was, that was a giant mess. But the patches and increasing my glutathione levels were a big, big help. I don't know. I probably would be still suffering with that had it not been for the fact that I have access to these things. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what the research shows. And before this is over, we're actually going to share a research paper because I want to point out some things that were in the paper. This is one quote that I like to bring people's attention to because this is showing that just wearing this patch for 12 hours over the next 4 weeks produced a highly significant improvement in physiologic functional status of your pancreas, liver, gallbladder, intestines, left and right adrenals, hypothalamus, and pituitary gland, and a very significant improvement in your pancreas with a statistical power of at least 72%. So stated differently, all organs achieve significant cellular physiologic functional status improvement compared to a baseline with a statistical power of at least 91%. So that paper, which we're going to share that entire paper with you guys before we're done today, that's the nanoscale glutathione patches improve organ function. So we talk about, I have people every now and then who tell me it's like, oh, I've got either type 1 or type 2 diabetes, or they've got, hepatitis, or they have whatever their conditions are and so forth. Sometimes they'll say, oh, well, my gallbladder was removed. I said, doesn't matter if your gallbladder is removed. You're still going to benefit from wearing the patches. It's still going to, the patches all bring your body that's out of homeostasis, out of balance, and it will bring, because it's taking care of organ systems of the body, it's going to bring you back into balance, back into homeostasis.
Yeah. It's really powerful.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. This also kind of, because you can see here specifically, like I mentioned, that the glutathione is actually found like a normal range. A sweet spot for glutathione levels in the body is usually about 3.5 to about 5.5 in the body. Anything below that, then you start to have symptoms. Anything above that, you start to have symptoms. So again, it's a matter of balance. And so as you look here at this list, it's like you think about people who have neuropathies, have neuralgia. Neuralgia, oftentimes they feel like a burning sensation on their hands or feet, or they feel like 1,000 needles are going through their hands and their feet. And we all know different conditions that go hand in hand with whether it's diabetes or Parkinson's or whatever those things are. Again, we don't like to get into the specifics of those medical diagnoses because these are general wellness products, and we're trying to keep this in the bigger umbrella of general wellness. Just knowing that the research paper is pointing out, like if you have something that has a diagnosis that was tied to your pancreas, bear in mind that increasing your glutathione is going to benefit your pancreas, your liver, your gallbladder, your intestines. If you have any kind of digestive issues, left and right adrenals, if you have PTSD and anxiety, you have high cortisol levels, high C-reactive proteins that your blood tests are actually, you have evidence of that because you have measured it because your doctor's ordered blood tests. If you've had issues with your hypothalamus or your pituitary gland, your circadian rhythms, maybe your sleep cycles, maybe you have, we've got epidemic proportions right now of insomnia, bar none. And it's not just adults anymore like it used to be. Now we have kids as young as 11 and 12 that have terrible, terrible insomnia, all the way to the elderly. Part of that, of course, is due to the proliferation of LED lights and blue light toxicity and electromagnetic frequencies that you get from the electronic components. But people are not aware that you're with LED and blue light toxicity that is inherent from desktops, laptops, cell phones, iPads, notepads. That blue light destroys your DHEA, fountain of youth hormone. It also hurts your glutathione levels. People think of eyes as cameras, as like video cameras and regular cameras to just see things and to take images and to video what it is in your environment. But really, your eyes are so much more than that. Your eyes, and again, glutathione is extremely important in eye health. So your eyes are actually circadian rhythm clocks. As it receives light from the sun, as it receives light from the blue screen that you're on, that affects the circadian rhythms of all organ systems of the body, not just your melatonin and your serotonin cycles. Oftentimes people hear circadian rhythms, they're thinking just melatonin and serotonin. It's so much more than that, because every organ system of the body has its own circadian rhythm. And that's why if you look at the traditional Chinese medicine acupuncture chart, you will see that different times of the day signal different organs of the body. So like 11 to 1 a.m., for example, I believe that's your liver. And I think like 1 to 3 is your gallbladder. And as you go around the clock, it's actually tied to the wavelengths of light that you have from sunrise to sunset and sunset to sunrise.
Wow. Well, and eyes, people, you're right. They don't realize that eyes are an organ with their own function of regulating our vitamin D uptake as well. So when we're only seeing blue light, you know, there's a lot of science in terms of light that is not, you know, prolific in the community, and people just aren't aware. There's lack of knowledge, but this is a big thing, being that everyone has multiple screens and just stares at them all day, every day.
Well, not to mention that most of the light bulbs that are available now to purchase are all LED. They're not incandescent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And those LED lights, although they save energy at the expense of your body, because it's destroying your DHEA, fountain of youth hormone. It's increasing your insulin resistance. It's increasing inflammation inside of the body. And so for example, like Annie, you brought a very good point about your vitamin A, because in the morning when the sun first rises and before 10 a.m. in the morning, it's really important that we all get out and get that natural sunlight so that we're outside in nature. As we look at the blue sky facing eastward, that actually helps your kidney meridian and the kidneys inside of the body and your liver, just by looking at that blue sky. And the wavelengths of light at the early part of the day, there's something having to do with like your tracking mechanism, because when you're outside, you're looking at far distances. You're not like focused on something that's up close, like your desktop or your cell phone. So when you go out from sunrise to 10 o'clock in the morning, even if it's overcast, your eyes, by making contact with that wavelength of light, you get UVA light and UVB light. And from UVA, you make vitamin A in the body that turns into a hormone, your nascent vitamin A, which turns into a hormone in the body. And then the UVB light turns into vitamin D. And again, it's your own natural, not because of something that you're eating or a supplement that you're taking. It's your natural, like it's the perfect formula for you, and you're getting it out from nature. And so one of the things that I do, and again, this is based on the teachings of not just one place, but definitely Dr. Jack Kruse, because he's, again, one of the renowned experts in photobiomodulation, but also from Dr. Andrew Huberman. He also talks about this, is that you don't want to be looking at your cell phone at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. Because if you are looking at your cell phone at 6 or 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, it's signaling to your eyes and the circadian rhythms of all of your organ systems of the body that it's noon, when it's only 6, 7, 8, 9 morning. So now your body is going, the wavelength of light that it's getting from your cell phone signals to the brain, oh, it's noon. It's 6 in the morning, 7, 8, 9 in the morning, which is why I don't look at my cell phone before 10 o'clock in the morning. I try to keep it as close to 12. I don't always succeed. I usually, somewhere between 10 and 11, I give in and I look at my cell phone between 10 and 11. I try to make it till noon, but I'm not always successful. But I definitely don't look at it first thing in the morning. I don't have my cell phone in my room at all whatsoever, because I don't want any electronic components in my room. But those things, when we become aware of really what the pay, because either way we pay a price.
Yes.
We either pay the price by doing things that are going to give energy, give power that are going to edify our body, or we pay the price of not doing those things that edify the body, that instead take away energy from the body. And then I actually have to pay the price to fix it later. And I pay the price also in pain and in energy. And like I said, had I, if you use using myself as an example, had I known that that piece of beef that I ate in August, which was delicious, by the way, I don't eat a lot of red beef, but I chose that red tri-tip and it was delicious, but holy cow, I paid a very, very dear price. I didn't know that it had, that penicillin that was injected to it. The restaurant couldn't have prevented it because they don't know that the butcher, who knows, maybe the cows were exposed to something and they're like, oh, we don't want people to get sick. Let's, load them up with extra penicillin so that, and for the majority of the population, that's fine because most people aren't allergic to penicillin. I just happen to be in the group that is. So the bottom line is that when we know better, we can do better. So now if I don't have any issues going to sleep or staying asleep. I know some people wake up umpteen times a day, but we do have a generation of people that are now junior high, high school, like the majority of high school students. Like if you take a survey in the United States, and I don't know what it is outside of the States, but I know that surveys that have been done in the United States show that 80 to 90% of the kids in high school all have insomnia.
I've worked with people who are, young, early 20s, whatever, just out of high school, and they can't sleep. But the also common habit is gaming. So I drew a quick conclusion from that in their lifestyle. But I mean, when you're younger, you can get away with a certain amount of abuse. It's when we get over 30 that we don't pull up as well as we used to.
Well, and I think you bring a very valid point, Annie, because I think in the past, we could get away with a lot of things for a lot longer, into our late 30s and 40s and still do okay. But because we have this proliferation of youngsters who are from junior high to high school and in their 20s already suffering with insomnia, we know that insomnia is one of the markers for dementia and older age. So the earlier you started with insomnia, the more likelihood it is that you're going to develop things like not just dementia and senility, but actually Alzheimer's. So we do want to curb that. And people who are parents who are responsible for children, we do want to make sure that they're aware that, curbing, it's like, we're not saying don't play games. We're not saying don't use computers, because heaven knows we're using a computer right now for this particular broadcast. It's the responsible usage of technology and then doing things to offset. So, again, if I'm in front of this computer all day long doing back-to-back Zooms from 8 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock at night, well, I'm going to ruin my eyes. I'm going to deplete my glutathione levels. I'm going to deplete a whole lot of things in my body. I'm going to give myself early onset diabetes at whatever age I am, because I'm creating insulin resistance, increasing inflammation, and destroying my DHEA fountain of youth hormone for 12 hours a day. Now, if I break it up, and there's research that now shows, and Dr. Andrew Huberman just shared this recently with us, he shared that just spending 2 hours outside, and even if you're reading outside, 2 hours a day goes a long way to improve your eyesight, because now you're seeing the natural waves of light instead of man-made waves of light. And now you're going to not only offset astigmatism and myopia, but even your tracking mechanism of being able to adjust, because we have lenses inside of our eyes. And so those lenses are not static. They fluctuate. They're dynamic. They're constantly adjusting so that you can focus. But you should be, we weren't designed to be staring at something at 18 inches from our face all day long. You're supposed to look and see, track birds flying in the sky, look at the rustling leaves and trees and so forth. So you're seeing short, medium, and long distance. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is, because this does affect your glutathione levels, is like when you eat the standard American diet, I say it's SAD. So SAD, S for standard, A, American, D, diet, fast foods. So why is this sad? It's really sad because it's like letting in a thief into your body or house to steal electrons, which your electrons are just your energy. It's your light source. And remember, electrons and electrolytes, They're packed with information and nutrients for your body. So you may as well let a thief into your house and say, just take everything you want, bar none. Empty out my bank account, take all my treasures, go for it. Now, why do I say that? Well, very simply said, when you eat man-made foods and hamburgers, and fast food and junk food and food that's not organic, food that's Monsanto food, for example, those have a lot of man-made, first of all, they're genetically modified, and there's man-made materials. We don't know when it's genetically modified. We don't know what this DNA was crossed with. Was it crossed with a cockroach? Was it crossed with, some sort of synthetic? We really don't know. We just know that there's been a cross-contamination, if you will. And so it's been genetically modified. So we don't want genetically modified. We want it to be as normal and natural as its origin, the way it comes out of the ground, not in a box, not in a plastic wrapper. We want it to be, we pick a lemon, you eat a lemon. You're not eating a lemon concentrate that was genetically modified. Big difference, right? And so when you eat genetically modified, or you're eating the standard American diet, which is the SAD diet, now you have a lot of things that are called free radicals. So like, what's a free radical? I'm going to do a quick little picture, and I am not an artist. So let's say that this is a cell. Okay. So in your cells, and the way you have when cells are whole and complete, they have on the outer ring, I'm going to put 6. And this is, the middle is going to be the nucleus. Okay. So you're going to see there's 2, 4, 6 electrons. Okay. That's a stable molecule. You've got an even number of electrons on the outer ring. But when you eat this SAD food, you eat this genetically modified food, you eat this food that is not whole and complete, you have an uneven number of electrons. Instead of 6, you'll see that I added another one. So there's 7. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's a lot of free radicals floating around there. And so this cell is going to desperately want to attach itself to another cell to complete itself, to make it whole, and so that it can become stable. So that's why I say when you eat SAD food, it's like allowing a thief in, because now when you eat that type of food, you are allowing all those free radicals to, you've invited that into your body. And now there's like this frenzy where they're trying to pair up. So for example, a French fry, just to make it very graphic, because I love French fries. I don't have them very often, but I love French fries. But let's say it's a French fries from one of your favorite fast food places. And let's say that the first letter of that fast food place is, because we all know that all over the world, it starts with the letter, just as an example. And you decide, okay, I'm going to be good. I'm just going to be all vegetarian. I'm not going to have any burgers or anything. I'm just going to go vegan, vegetarian. I am just going to order fresh fries. Okay. So I'm going to go through the drive-through. I'm ordering fries. Let's say that they've been using that oil for 4 hours that day. So that oil has been at who knows how many, 200 degrees, 300 degrees, whatever, but it's pretty high. So for every minute that is boiling oil, each of the molecules of that oil is breaking. So I come by and it's noon and I'm like, I'm just ordering fries for lunch today. So I am basically picking up a cancer inducer, because that's rich with free radicals. And all I'm eating are free radicals that now it's going to try and pair with the healthy ones to steal that electron so that it can be stable. And that's why I say it's a thief. It's stealing. It's not giving you energy. It's tastes good, but it's stealing energy from you. Now your body's like, oh man, we got to balance all this out. That's a lot of free radicals just from that little bag of fries that she just ate. And so now it's scrambling, trying to pull these healthy cells so that it can become stable, so it's not wobbly. Because when it has an odd number of electrons on the outer ring, it's wobbly. It's not stable. It can't survive. So it needs to attach to something. And so that's why I call it a thief. Now, let's go to the next slide, where we're going to talk about what are the things that you can eat, because there are foods There are certain foods that are naturally rich in glutathione. And oh, by the way, before we move on, please remember to drink 50% your weight in fluid ounces of water every day from the time you get up until you go to sleep. Why? Because, like I mentioned before, your DNA is 92% water. It's the primary structure that holds up your DNA. And when you don't drink enough water, your proteins fold. So Annie and Jody, I don't know about you guys, but if I had to do this broadcast with my head at my knees, first of all, I wouldn't even be on screen.
Yeah, that's not sustainable, is it?
And feeding myself dinner or lunch or breakfast or trying to drink anything with my head down because my body's folded in half, I don't know. There's very little that I would be able to do. Wouldn't be able to give myself a bath, a shower. Gee whiz, I'd be very hard pressed to go to the bathroom, folded over. In fact, I really would not be able to function if I was folded over. Well, when you're dehydrated or unhydrated, your proteins, they fold. And for our neuro nerds that are like Annie and Jody and myself, and you want to check this out, check out what happens to the Krebs cycle when you're dehydrated. It's broken. It can't work. Being dehydrated disrupts your Krebs cycle. So you don't need to remember the Krebs cycle. What you need to know, more importantly, is that when you're dehydrated, you feel thirst in your mouth, which indicates to you that you're 2% dehydrated. That's suggesting to you, oh no, my proteins are starting to fold. We don't want that. I better drink some water. And then you reach over, you get your 50% of your water that you've measured out per day, and you rehydrate you. That's why it's a big deal. Not talked about enough, the significance of water. Okay, so foods that are rich in glutathione are spinach, avocado, and asparagus.
I love avocado.
Avocado is so fantastic because it really is a complete food all by itself. You can literally survive on avocados because it is so rich in not just minerals, but it has many, many, many different vitamins as well. And it's also great for women and men's hormones of the body. In fact, for men, and for women too, but men especially, men can increase their testosterone levels through the consumption of an adequate number of avocados. Avocado oil on the skin is phenomenal. Very, very powerful food. Spinach. Avocado is very rich in glutathione. Spinach is very rich in glutathione. Asparagus. Those are three. So they're natural ways of increasing glutathione through the consumption of organic spinach, avo, and asparagus. So let's talk about different means of getting glutathione into your body. You know, we've talked about activating your natural glutathione levels through using this, you know, it's a cell activation patch, but some people can get glutathione drips. And the thing to note is that, yes, you will benefit a benefit from being on a glutathione drip. The thing to notice is that it takes, first of all, it's expensive. Like my friend Laura Balzer, she did 2 glutathione drips per week for the better part of a year, and she paid $480 for each IV, 500 milligrams, and it takes about an hour and 15, an hour and a half for you to empty out that whole IV into your system. Once you're completely done, you have 500 milligrams, and the life of that glutathione in your system at full strength 500 milligrams is only 7 minutes.
Wow.
For every 7 minutes that you continue to move forward in time, the 500 milligrams half to 250. So another 7 minutes, it's 125, and so forth and so forth. So that being said, it's still beneficial for pretty much everyone I've known who's ever had glutathione IVs have always benefited from it. But when you compare people who've been on glutathione IVs and compare them against people who are actually on activating their own natural glutathione levels with these organic class 1 medical devices that are organic, nanotechnology, holistic, that are non-transdermal, non-invasive, and we apply them on traditional Chinese acupuncture points. The reason why it's so powerful is that because for the next year, every day for 12 hours, not an hour, hour and 15, or an hour and a half, but you are signaling your body for 12 hours to turn back on your original glutathione levels, they're going to be 300 to 600% higher than they were prior to your being on the patch. And so that is really, really powerful when every single day, because your liver is working every day, your kidneys are working every day, you're eating every day, you're detoxing every day, you're exposed to germs, viruses, and bacteria, environmental toxins every day. Some that you're conscious of, some that you're unconscious of. Doesn't matter. But your body is working 24/7. It never completely rests. So when you are signaling for your natural, you're opening up your original playbook and whatever it was at conception, turning that back on. And we know that it's 300 to 600% because we measured it. It's in our research studies. And for people who, there's many people that get routine blood tests. Some of them are getting blood tests every day, some every month, every quarter, every 6 months, every year. And so from that, we are able to verify and confirm that your glutathione level will be on the low side. It will go up to 300% to as high as 600%.
And, you know, having your own endogenous glutathione being reactive, or rather activated, is far better than a synthetic substance being, ingesting in a synthetic substance, or, having it intravenously. That's a significant financial commitment, having an IV for, twice a week for a year. That's for it only to last a couple of hours in the system, really.
Right. Yeah. And it is. And you think about it, it's like you have to be willing to have an IV, which means a needle is going into your veins. Mm-hmm. You have to spend the time getting to the clinic, where you're going to receive that IV. You have to be financially able to support that once, twice a week, how much, you're doing that. And then, like I said, it's like, there's also the discomfort because there's the needle going in the arm, but there's also that IV solution is cold and you're 98.6, 98.7 degrees. So you're cold while you're as that fluid is going into your system. And so it's like a little shivery. So there's a little bit, it's not painful, but it's not the most comfortable. So, but you do it because, it's, to your benefit and so forth. So this doesn't hurt at all. Putting this, you set it and forget it.
Yeah, that's it. No, and it's actively working in your system for far longer.
For 12 hours instead of an hour and a half, hour and 15. Now it's 12 hours. It's being signaled. So your body is getting this benefit. If you're wearing the patch every day, so then your glutathione levels are now going to be 300 to 600% higher for as long as you're wearing that patch. And so I have a true story that one of the gals who I started a year ago, August. So she started August of 2022. Her name is Jenna. When she started on the patches, she had the spine of a 90-year-old woman. Jody, you got to meet her when we were in Orlando at the stem cell conference this last time. Uh-huh. She doesn't look anywhere like a 90-year-old woman, does she? And she's young, dry, and all. But she had the spine of a 90-year-old woman, needed to have spinal surgery. She pushed back her spinal surgery. Instead of having it in October, she pushed it back to December. That young lady, believe it or not, she went from barely being able to move to being able to, she started in August. By October, she was playing pickleball, she was going hiking and doing yoga, which when she called me up to tell me that the weekend before, because it was a Monday when she told me, Lillian, this weekend I played pickleball, I did yoga, and I went hiking. I go, how did you do that? She goes, I feel great, because she'd been on the patches at that point, I think 5 or 6 weeks. And I'm going, that's crazy. And then in October, she ran out of the glutathione patch. And then all of a sudden she got sick. And so for like a week, she was in bed. And she did not realize that she had run out of glutathione and hadn't, gotten another order in of patches to replace that. And she goes, how is it possible that I'm sick on these patches? So she started looking through her patches and stuff. And she's like, oh my gosh, I haven't had glutathione in like 2 weeks. She the patches, and then she was back to being fine again. And I thought, wow, that's pretty telling.
It's very protective, I think, the glutathione patch from getting anything.
Yeah, it protects you from, you're not bulletproof, but it's going to protect you from a great deal more. Things that you would normally be subjected to, you're not going to be as easily subjected to because you have a 300 to 600% uptick. You're like, your kidneys and your liver are like superheroes with the glutathione levels that, again, remember, your glutathione is in every cell of your body, every muscle of the body. It's also in every organ of the body. So that's a pretty powerful protection to have head to toe. So let's talk about, because the glutathione delivery system that we're talking about is, using a phototherapy patch. Phototherapy has been defined as the use of ultraviolet light for its healing effects. And these patches have been specifically developed to reflect light back in the infrared and visible light bands back onto the skin where the patches have been placed. So supported by normal electrodermal skin conductance, the human body gives off a number of materials biochemically, including tiny little particulate releases, gas emissions, ultraviolet, infrared, near infrared, and visible spectrum light. So this then stimulates that area of the skin, producing improved physiological effects. And so there's been variations of phototherapy that have been used for at least 100 years. In that time, there's been little evidence of negative side effects. And this suggests that this is really a relatively untapped option for healing with very few, if any, risks. So let's talk about the first documented case of photobiomodulation, because we've known that the Egyptians and the Incas and the Mayas have used photobiomodulation for thousands of years. The mystics from all sorts of different cultures and the ancient scriptures talk about the use of light. And photobiomodulation is photo, light. Bio is biology because we're biological beings. Modulation is just movement and change. But the first documented case was in 1895. And then 1903, Niels Ryberg Finsen won the Nobel Prize for his research on using red light to treat tuberculosis of the skin. In his experiments with mice, he found that exposing them to red light reduced both their symptoms as well as the mortality rate from lupus vulgaris. So we're in 2024 right now as we're doing this broadcast. So we don't hear a lot about lupus vulgaris. We don't hear a lot about tuberculosis. But at the turn of the turn of the century, tuberculosis was a very severe pathogen. It was something that was really hurting quite a few people. A lot of people died from tuberculosis. A lot of people died also from lupus vulgaris. And it's amazing to realize and recognize that at the turn of the century, it's like 125 years ago, this guy won a Nobel Prize for using photobiomodulation. And he was able to not only treat the condition of the skin, but he was also able to increase the mortality rate. So the survivability of mice and of people were improved by this, what we're calling now it's technology. It's remarkable. So notice that the glutathione patch, all of our patches for that matter, are non-transdermal. So nothing transfers into your dermis, into your skin. They're non-invasive because those little crystals that are on each patch are not for your skin to absorb them. Those are mechanical devices, just like a diamond crystal. It's a mechanical device to redirect back, to reflect, to mirror back into your body, your own body's infrared light. So they're non-invasive. Nothing invades your skin or your body. They're organic, holistic, FDA compliant, class 1 medical devices under the general umbrella of the general wellness category, just like ACE bandages, Band-Aids, etc. We manufacture our products in FDA registered facilities in the US, and our facility in Ireland is actually registered with the Irish Medicine Board. We manufacture our products to the same standards as a medical device, and they're ISO 9001 and 13485 compliant, which are quality standards. So this is showing you hydrated DNA, because yes, I'm beating the drum of drink 50% your weight in fluid ounces of water, because yes, my friends and gems, it's that important. If you take no other action after you watch this other than, gee whiz, I'm going to measure out, okay, how much do I weigh? Let me divide it by 2. I'm going to measure out in my pitchers or hydro flasks or water bottles. I'm going to measure out my water. So I'm going to make sure that from this point forward, 2024, I'm going to drink 50% my weight in fluid ounces of water. Just that is a big big home run for you. You're going to do massively better than most. This is showing you hydrated DNA. So look at how beautiful the helix. It's the way it's supposed to be. It's properly structured, standing erect, solid, firm. On the right, on the other hand, we have a poor soul who's not going to last very long because they are 8% dehydrated. And so the DNA is unraveling. That means it's falling apart. And that is the beginning of you're starting to feel and sense and know all sorts of symptoms. Things are breaking down inside of the body. That's where you end up running to the doctor. These intolerable pain points in your body and all these red flags and alarms that are going on in your body. And then you get the diagnosis of XYZ. So drink 50% your weight in fluid ounces of water. I mean, you don't have to do anything you don't want to. Don't drink any water if you don't want to. But if you want to be healthy and you want to do something that really doesn't cost very much, I mean, it's water. Hello. I would if I were you, and I actually do. And so do my two friends and gems.
Yeah, I bang that drum about drinking water all the time. I'm renowned for it, and I've got a reputation for telling people to drink more water. So I certainly did in the nursing home, that's for sure. I was filling up their jugs. I'm like, I don't care if you're on a fluid restriction, drink more water.
Yeah. More people die of the dehydration than the condition that they're in for.
Yeah. It's really sad, but that's a fact of the matter. So yeah, drink more water.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to be wearing these patches, of course, 12 hours on, 12 hours off. And I want to talk about your sympathetic nervous system and your parasympathetic nervous system, because I think it's oftentimes ignored, because we know it's a matter of framing. It's like how you think oftentimes makes all the difference in the world. And so, when we're awake, we're on the go, go, go. We got that beta brainwave state and we're like, go, go, go. As you're watching this video, your brain is in training to a beta brainwave state because you're learning all sorts of new information. You have neurons that wire together, fire together. You're actually getting more intelligent as you learn new things in this broadcast. And what we oftentimes don't give enough attention to and give it the proper, significance and weighted value that it really needs is paying attention to our parasympathetic nervous system, because it's equally important. Just as you're eating the food, it's important to allow the food. You need to have the rest and digest and allow the food to be digested in your body so that your body can benefit from that light barcode activation that came in through your mouth into your body. But you have to rest in order for that to digest. And just as we're signaling the body with these are like solar panels on your house, by the way. Just as you put a solar panel that's receiving light from the sun, you're putting the solar panel on your skin and it's receiving light from inside your body and bouncing back in. And think about your house has been in the dark all night long. First thing in the morning, what do? You're going to turn on 33%. Actually, let's say 43, because you already, assuming that you're 60 or more, just because the math is easier at 60. At 60 or more, you have 10% of your original little construction workers working inside of you. And now you put the patch on. Now you have 43%. So let's say you've got 50% plus of the lights in your home are on. So now you got 50% of these contractors doing this remodeling job, inside, outside, front, back, top to bottom, left to right, inside, outside, for 12 hours. So guess what? Now they got to finish their day. You got to remove that and allow the rest, repair, and restore cycle. I don't care what modality you're going to apply to improve your body. Whatever it is, you have to allow the body to rest, repair, and restore. You got to allow things to relax so that the body can have the ultimate benefit from whatever it is that whatever modality you're selecting to improve and to help restore your body. And the same thing is true with these patches. So you have the sympathetic nervous system, 12 hours, you've got this rapid repair going on, then you remove the patch after 12 hours, you allow that rest and digest, your parasympathetic nervous system to rest, repair, and restore all sorts of things that can only happen while you're sleeping, while you're resting for those 12 hours. Even if you're not sleeping those entire, I don't say 12 hours. I sleep 6 hours and I'm plenty fine with that. Some people need 7, some people need 8. I know people who need 9 or 10 hours. But what's important is to respect that 12 hours of that parasympathetic system. Remove the patches Heck, you forgot one day you wore them for 24 hours. I've been there. I've done that. I mean, heck, I did it these holidays. Hit the snooze once, for push it an hour, snooze twice. I'm still not home. I forgot to do it a third time. Went home, went to sleep, woke up the next morning. I'm like, oh, I forgot to take my patches off. I didn't turn into a pumpkin. I don't have a third arm. I don't have a Pinocchio nose. I don't have googly eyes coming out of the sides of my head and Shrek ears. No, I'm fine. It's all fine. There's grace here. It's like, okay, that all it happens is that you just have to match those 24 hours with 24 hours of rest.
Yeah.
Okay, you skip that day matching. Just think of it as matching. I signaled for 24. Now I'm going to have to signal rest for 24 the next day. So I had to wait till Monday to put my patches back on again. No biggie.
Yeah.
There's grace. There's forgiveness.
Yeah, that's right. Just set your alarm. Remember next time.
Yeah.
I forget to take my energy enhancers off all the time. And I'll wake up the next morning and go, oh, no.
My body doesn't let me forget. I do. I
Yeah.
feel it starts to indent on my skin, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I need to take them off. And because I rotate them, right, so I don't
Yeah.
always keep them in the same spot. You know, if I put them on my chest, on my sternum or whatever, then that it's not even. It's about 8 hours, and I'm like that. I can't wait to take it off because it's you know it's cutting into me. You know, so. And I drink lots of water, so it's not a dehydration thing.
Oh,
but
wow,
yeah, it does. It does.
Yes.
It just.
So that
Feel
energetic
it.
sensitivity is telling you,
Yeah.
every once in a blue moon, I'll have a certain patch on because I kind of move mine around too. Like I just recently started wearing the glutathione patch. Instead of on my neck bump, I put it in between my my big toe and my second toe on my left foot because that's a good spot for like your liver and so forth. And sometimes like towards the end of the day, I'm like, I really got to get that thing off. It's on my foot. I don't feel it on my neck, but on that spot, I go, it's kind of funny. I'm like, oh yeah, I really can't wait to take it off. And then I take it off and it's all fine. Generally speaking, you don't feel them, but yeah. And again, it depends what you got going on in your body as well.
Well, and also because when I first took them, I didn't feel, but I felt the difference in the repair in my body, right, that was happening. But also I remember when I tried the, I think it was Dr. Velvet's tummy reduction protocol that has glutathione, eon, and something else. I can't remember. SB6, yeah. Holy moly. Oh my God. It was like detox like you would not believe. I mean, it was like, whoa. I mean, you could really tell, I could really tell the difference when I was doing that. It was like, wow. So it was the detox was like very, very apparent.
Yeah, the patches are so amazing. I had one lady who she started on 4 of the 5 and glutathione. So she was like 39, 49, carnosine and eon. So then the next month she added glutathione, and the way she described it was, I've never heard anybody describe it this way. She goes, Lillian, I kind of felt like there were all these rooms inside of my brain that had been closed off and it was full of cobwebs. And all of a sudden there was like several compartments that those rooms were all of a sudden opened up and everything got brighter and shinier. And I started like all these memories from like 30, 40 years ago, from when I was a kid, when I was in elementary school. I hadn't thought about any of that stuff for 30 years. Like everything just became available to me. And I could tell that there was all sorts of stuff that was going on in my head that wasn't going on before. I'm like, you could actually feel, she goes, I could feel the energy moving in different parts of my head.
Wow.
Wow.
That's yeah. And I've heard too, I know certain people who have been diagnosed with certain brain disorders, shall we say, have noticed a big change, a big difference when they use the glutathione patch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really is extraordinary. And so everybody's body is different. Like, some people don't feel anything at all.
Yeah.
Then as they move forward every day, knowing that no one is so special that these don't work.
Yeah.
So everyone's going to benefit. Like it's funny that 100% of the animals of people who have the patches that put, whether they're used or new patches on their animals, there's never been an animal that didn't get a result.
And usually immediately. Like animals heal so much faster than humans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And within 2 months, or I've even seen in a month, older cats and dogs that had cataracts that they're gone.
Yeah.
Of course, their owner is putting the patch on them, but we've all had pets. We know that pets don't like when you put glasses on them, when you put booties or raincoats. I have yet to see anybody's pet try and take off the patch. They always love the patch on them.
I tell my dog, I'm like, come on, time to put your patches on, and she'll come, and she'll come forward, and I tuck them in her collar, and then she lets me. She's quite happy. If I come at her with a lead, it's a different story. Like, she's always conflicted when it's time to go for a walk because she doesn't like the thing over her nose. She's got like this thing that goes over her nose. It's not a muzzle. But when I come, I'm like, come on, time to put your patches on, and I take them out. She'll just very promptly comes along and.
Aw.
All right.
So have we got some photos of testimonials, Lillian, that you're going to share with us?
I think, where are we?
Yeah.
John.
There we go. Oh, look at that.
Well, and for those of you on my YouTube channel, I actually interviewed him a couple of times, and one time he did do, it was just about a talk about glutathione. If you get a chance, watch it, because it really is, he's very thorough, and he is QEEG certified, to scan the brain. And so this, when he came to us a couple years ago, he actually came with two big problems. His two major problems were, first of all, he had a knee that was like a polished knob. He went to, the doctor's doctor, so to speak, and his doctor said, gee whiz, how are you walking on that thing? It's a polished knob. He had no cartilage. So that was causing him a tremendous amount of pain. Of course, they're suggesting that he do, knee replacement surgery, and he's trying to go, no, there's got to be something, that's a better alternative to that. Just the thought of having knee replacement sounds unbearable. But more important than that, he had been diagnosed with a right bundle branch blockage. He had had all these fluttering PVCs and all these strange sensations in his chest. And so when he went to the doctor and ended up going to 3 cardiologists, all 3 of them confirmed that he had a right bundle branch blockage in his heart that was inoperable, and that he would have to be on heart meds for the remainder of his life. And oh, by the way, too sad, too bad, but your longevity is being compromised because you just have a bad pump. Electrical wiring of that thing ain't in a good condition.
Wow.
And at that time, he thought, and he was already into things that were organic and holistic and regenerative medicine. And he thought, surely there has to be something on the planet that can fix me. And that's when the patches came into his experience. And so he began to wear the patches. He started to study, about all the different type of patches that we have. And over the next 14 months, as he continued to follow up, one of the things was, he started off with gray hair. And if you look at his face, and I actually happen to be certified and trained in traditional Chinese medicine, medical facial diagnosis of conditions and so forth. So like looking at his eyes, you can see he has a great deal of inflammation around the eyes. You can clearly see the condition of his skin. You don't have to have any kind of certification to notice he's got like 3 lines up and down between his eyebrows, which is like a 111. So I affectionately tease him. It's like, hey, I used to be able to play tic-tac-toe on your forehead. I can't do that anymore, because he had lines across, which were fine lines and wrinkles this way, horizontally, but he also had the 111 between his 2 brows. And then, of course, he had the thinning eyebrows with just to sprinkle a little bit of brown. They were what little eyebrow hair that he had. It was just, a little bit of white. So the texture of his skin as well. So as he continued to wear the patches, one of the things that happened is, of course, the stem cells, they don't care about your vanity, your beauty, your good looks, your bad looks, but they do care about oxidative stress. Wrinkles are only there because you have oxidative stress, which is cellular damage. And the programming of your stem cells is to replace damaged cells with new cells. Inside, outside of the body doesn't matter. It's going to send whatever cellular repair you need to your heart first, and then they're smart cells. They're the master smart cells of the body. So they know how to prioritize, what we call in medicine triage. So it knows first order, you're not going to get very far if you don't have a beating heart. You're not going to get very far if you have your kidneys and your liver shut down or your brain's not functioning. So it knows to prioritize those organs, whatever's required for your livelihood, your vitality. But then it's also going to secondarily and thirdly take care of whatever else that you might have that needs repair. And so as he had his right bundle branch blockage literally being remodeled so that he was absent of a right bundle branch blockage. He had this general remodeling job, if you will, inside and outside of the body. So that 14 months later, right bundle branch blockage verified by 3 cardiologists disappeared.
Wow.
They were present. They were amazed. They're like, we've never seen anything like this before. Never even read or heard of any documented case that this is even possible. 14 months, it took 14 months. The good news is that he had pain relief. He had the diminishing of the PVCs, and the improved state of well-being started in the first 30, 60, 90 days as he continued to wear the patches. And the rest is really history.
I remember him saying too that the hair, his dark hair started growing back from the back to the front. And he said that somebody came up to him, I think, and said, hey, so are you starting to dye your hair again or something like that? And he was like, what are you talking about? And it was like, it was all dark in the back. He didn't even know it. And then it just made its way to the front. So
yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. So it's pretty funny because he had not really, he wasn't paying attention to that, of course. Right. But people, there's patients that haven't seen him for 6 months. So it's a pretty big difference when you go from all gray, all of a sudden you're like half gray,
right,
half dark, or mostly dark, because I think it was in the first year that his hair went literally, like we talked about, 50% of your stem cells turn off when you're just the tender age of 30. But if you're aware that your fibroblasts begin to decline when you're only 25 years of age in their production of collagen, it makes sense that by the time you're 30, just 5 more years later, now you have 50% of your stem cells that turn off. So this is suggesting really that when you're about 25 years of age, you have about 25% of your stem cells that have turned off, which, if you think about it, that sounds crazy.
Right.
Because you're so young. You're barely getting used to being in an adult body at the age of 25, let alone 30. So it's something to think about and just be aware. It's like, yeah, you can restore your body to a younger, healthier state by activating them with this life-saving technology. So this is for, I love sharing the story about Barry, because Barry is one of my friends from Canada, and poor Barry, for 18 long, arduous months, he suffered horribly with, speaking of insomnia, he had terrible insomnia. He tried everything under the sun to help him be able to at least sleep, because he got really bad COVID. And then after COVID, he had long haulers COVID, and he would wake up every morning. First of all, it took forever for him to fall asleep. And then he would sleep very little, and he woke up with a horrible headache, terrible nausea. He had no stamina, and he was extremely fatigued. And he just felt like he had, like, the plug of energy was like he was disconnected, and he just was very weighed down. And so as soon as I got the patches, I talked to him and I said, Barry, we got to get you started on these patches. He's like, I'll try anything. So we started him on June 23rd on the patches. He received them, and it was sometime between 3 and 5 o'clock Canada time in Alberta. And the bottom line is that instead of, these are morning, you're supposed to put these on from, let's say, 6, 7, 8, 9 a.m. in the morning, 10 a.m., whatever morning time. You're supposed to wear them primarily during the day and then remove them at night, right? But he hadn't slept in 18 months. So I wanted my friend to experience relief and just have deep sound sleep, because everyone, first time they wear the patches, everybody gets that deep sound REM sleep. So I said, let's get the patches on. We'll figure out about getting this switched over to daytime. We just need to get you some relief right now. So we started him that afternoon on the 23rd. And then I said, okay, we started him on the Fantastic 5. That's glutathione, carnosine, or let's X39, 49, glutathione, carnosine, and EM, the Fantastic 5. So I said, Barry, tomorrow about this time, why don't you contact me and let me know how you slept, and let me know how you're feeling and what you're sensing in your body. So the very next day, I got this text message, and I asked him, I go, may I share with others? And he said, yes. So he said, hey, Lillian, just a note, don't know if it's a placebo or if the stem cell activation patches work that quick or what, but I had really good sleep, a little better sleep than other nights. I fell asleep quicker. Today, this is a man who was fatigued and had no stamina. And now he's saying, today, I'm just on a high. I'm ecstatic, and Gwen sees that in me. And I feel really, really good physically when I awoke this morning. No headache, no nausea. Yeah, it's just been a phenomenal day. So thank you, and I'll update you as we go along. Hope all is well. Bye. And I thought, oh, my friend has relief. What? It's like a night and day difference. No pun intended, maybe pun intended. Take it however you want to take it. But he had a significant amount of relief.
Wow.
And so everyone that I've had the good fortune. Haven't counted, but I have patched a lot of people that tested positive for the COVID. I have tested a lot of people who had high fevers, body aches, chills, nausea, headaches, all of those symptoms. Some of them were tested, some of them weren't. The common denominator is that they had those symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one that I patched within 24 hours, they're like, oh, so much better.
Mm.
So, and one person in 2 hours and 17 minutes after I patched him, 100% of his symptoms were gone.
Wow.
And he was in bed he had to miss class, body aches, chills, fever, felt horrible, like was completely wiped out, sucking wind. And then I got this excited call 2 hours. Actually, Jody, you got to meet Al. Al was the one 2 hours and 17 minutes later.
Oh, wow.
You're not going to believe this. Those patches are badass. Those were his exact words. Those patches are badass. And I'm like looking at the phone. I go, did you drink the 2 water bottles I told you to? He's like, yep, 8 o'clock sharp. I drank a water bottle. I put the patches on. An hour later, I drank another water bottle. And he goes, and right now I have 0 symptoms. That guy had been in bed all day that day. It was 10:17 at night when I got that call. And I'm like, it's been 2 hours and 17 minutes. He's like, I know. He goes, I'm obviously contagious because I had a fever all day until now. I have no chills. I have no body aches. I have no headaches, no nausea. I feel 100% fine. I was like, I had no idea that was even possible. So it's just showing us that that's the potential. So for people out there who've been dealing with long haulers or who all of a sudden right now are feverish and all that, bear in mind that you can get relief. You will probably experience some significant results in the first 24 hours of wearing this. It might be less than 24 hours like Al. It was only 2 hours and 17 minutes. I honestly didn't think that I would hear from him until the next day. I had that pleasant surprise. So this is Kathy. Kathy has a really impressive testimonial too, because it's funny because, we're human. So we're very visually impressed. And Kathy got started on the patches in January of 2022. She was 62 years of age. She's now 64. And when she got started, first of all, she was probably one of the most cynical, doubting people. She's like, there's no way you're telling me that this little Band-Aid sticky thingy, little plastic like sticker, you're telling me that is going to be able to repair my body? And all these experts that I've been dealing with for 33 years because of the 3 breast implants that caused my autoimmune disorder, none of them have been able to give me relief. And this little over-the-counter thing is supposed to help me? I don't think so. We're like, just try it and take a picture now. And every 30 days, she goes, I'm not taking a picture of my face. I don't do profile shots. That's not my jam. But she was willing to take a picture of her neck and her chest. I said, I didn't tell her. Another friend of ours said, just take a picture every 30 days. So she did. Luckily, she did. So you'll see that in January, she had a lot of wrinkles because she spends a lot of time outdoors full time because she's a professional skydiver. And you'll see all the fine lines and wrinkles, deep grooves in her chest and neck. And then in March, she has a significant reduction in those fine lines and wrinkles. And you look at June, 6 months of being on the patches, the wrinkles are all gone. And look at how much more moist and how much younger her chest and her neck skin look. And then in July, fine lines, wrinkles, all of it gone. So people are like, whoa. So she put this up in October of 2022. So as soon as she put it up on Facebook, I immediately called her and we got on a Zoom call like this. And I said, we got to do a video. I want you to, share your story, the whole thing, soup to nuts. And send me a profile picture. She's like, no, I don't do profile pictures. I'll do the video, but I won't do the profile picture. And I said, that's fine. But at least, you know, in a video, people will see that they'll see your actual neck and your chest, and they'll see that it matches not only with your face, but matches the pictures. And so long story short, we ended up doing the video. You'll find it on my YouTube channel. And the funny thing is, after she saw the video, she changed her mind. But the cool thing about her story is that she got both and. It's not like her stem cells. Her motivation was, I want to get rid of this autoimmune disorder. I want to get all of the pain, all the symptoms. She had a big laundry list of symptoms that were plaguing her for 33 years. All that got cleared up. But she also had this rejuvenation effect where, again, your stem cells, they don't care about beauty, but they do care about replacing damaged cells. And so it did both and. So she got relief from the autoimmune disorder, and she also got this incredible regeneration where she looks like she's 35, 40 years old, not 64 years old.
Yeah, I talked to her at convention. I saw her, and I'm like, "Hey, you're the chest lady."
Yeah, and isn't she as beautiful, like in person?
Yeah, she was like, yes. She was like rolling her eyes, like, darn it, you know.
So we have a Veritas Concilium. So we do have, we don't do protocols, but we do have recommendations. We have advice. We have a true plan of action using acupuncture points, you know, traditional Chinese acupuncture points. It's going to magnify the effects of the patches on the body. Now, when it comes to pain management, because glutathione, like I said, it's tied to your nociceptive system, which has to be your ability to feel pain. So for your nerves to actually feel and sense things, right? So if you have pain, oftentimes we find very, very powerful effects in terms of reduction of pain. Point to the pain and patch it. So if you have a mother stem cell activation patch and you take a glutathione patch and you just apply it, my favorite thing is to take all 5. I have yet to see somebody not have a reduction in pain when you take all 5 of those patches and apply it to the spot where you have pain. Just yesterday, I was talking to a lady in Dubai, just got started on the patches, and she has a lot of really bad digestive issues. So I told her, listen, just take your fantastic 5 patches, and you could either put them in a row, you know, right above your belly button, below your belly button, to the left or to the right of your belly button. But you've got a lot of stuff going through multiple organs having to do with your digestive tract. So what I would recommend is, it doesn't have to be a particular pattern. You're going to encircle your belly button with, just take X39, X49, glutathione, carnosine, and eon, and you're going to put them in a circle around your abdomen, around, so your belly button is in the middle. So now you're lighting up that whole area where your stem cells are going to start there, and it's going to do this rapid repair. It's going to see the damaged cells that are there. It's going to go ahead and take care of that. If there's something that is more serious going on in your brain and your heart, your stem cells are smart enough to know, oh, we got to get the troops up there. But it's going to signal that area first so that at least you start to experience relief. Yeah, it's really incredible. I have a doctor in Costa Rica. She goes back and forth between Florida and Costa Rica, and her name is Andrea. And I think you saw in the group in Telegram, I put her picture. 4 days. You saw the first day she broke her finger, and then of course she had terrible pain because it was a broken finger, and it was all filled with blood, you know, purplish and blue, and it was like really miserable. And she put, you know, the X39 and 49, glutathione, carnosine, and eon on her hand, and then ice wave on both sides of her hand. 4 days.
Wow.
Her hand was fine. She says, Lillian, she goes, you're not going to believe this. She goes, no pain whatsoever. My finger's fine. I can use it. 4 days.
Wow.
I'm like, not even a month? She goes, 4 days. She goes, I showed it to my sister. My sister couldn't believe it because my sister was saying, those little Band-Aids aren't doing anything for you. And she's like, no, they are. But when her sister saw that her broken finger was like completely restored in 4 days, her sister's like, that's impossible. She's like, well, I thought it was impossible too. But she goes, and it was her right hand too.
Well, my shoulder, when I hurt my shoulder, I was told by my chiropractor that I had a pulled a tendon and I had a brachial nerve impingement. It was the most pain I've ever had in my life. And I was moving, and he said, I got advice from him and the internet, my massage therapist, you just have to rest for the next 2 to 3 months. And I was like, I can't, I'm moving. And so I just thought, well, what the hell? I'll try ice wave. 2 days later, I was totally fine.
Oh, 2 days later.
2 days later.
From 2 to 3 months to 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
and so, see, you know, we can't guarantee anything.
No.
We know that it works on everybody. No one is so special that your stem cells don't work. You just drink the water and apply the patch. Now, what we love, we get to be not just Santa Claus sharing this life-saving technology with you all, but we also get to be the little kids under the Christmas tree. These three musketeers here, we are going, wee! Every time we hear one of these testimonies, one of these stories where you guys call us up, you send us text messages like Barry did, you send us voice messages, you send us emails, you send us, actually most of them comes, it seems like through text messages, voice messages, and videos, through whether it's Facebook or through Facebook Messenger or through Telegram. And to me, that is like one of the best Christmas presents, which is why I still have my Christmas tree. Every day is like, I get gifts every day from you guys sharing these things like you just shared with me, Jody.
Yeah. Well, and I love Annie Reeve's story. It's one of my favorites, right? Because she was completely blinded, both eyes, different reason. But now she can see, not 100%, but it's like the fact that she can see light, I think it colors out of her left eye, which was completely black stone cataract. And she hadn't seen in a decade. And then the other one was just, I think, dark shadows where she couldn't really see anything. And now she can,
black.
She can see now.
And you guys now see, she's on Facebook. She goes, I saw your video.
Oh my God.
She sees well enough to be on Facebook. Now, so it's so like I'm getting used to her always going, hi, sweetie, I saw your video. So she sees well enough to text on her phone.
Yeah, exactly.
On Facebook, to watch the videos, to comment. She texts me, like now that she can see, she can actually text me regular. So it's like, oh my gosh, what a difference. And
she used glutathione, was one of the patches she used, wasn't it?
Yeah. And when she first started, it was just X39 and 49. And then in the second month, then she added carnosine and glutathione. And then now she's on all 5. She's kind of grown into wearing all 5.
Yeah. And she also, I remember her saying she has she's 85, by the way, people, 85. And she has a boyfriend who is 65. So he's 20 years younger than her. 20 years younger. And she said he's so happy with all the changes in her body.
Oh, yeah. So we can't mention here because it wouldn't be appropriate because it would be rated R. But, and she's a great spirit. So maybe she'll say it out of her own mouth when we have.
Yeah, exactly.
But he kept on telling her, oh my gosh, you're looking younger. And Annie's like, well, she goes, sweetie, you're so cute. I haven't seen myself in 5 years. So I have, if I look younger, because I don't know what I looked like 5 years ago.
She looks amazing.
I don't know what I looked like when I started on the patches. Although she did have him take a picture. So like right as she started, before she applied the first patch, she sent me a picture. So I have like a full body picture of her. But she didn't know what she looked like. Now she has more of a notion because now she can see some.
And her arthritis is gone. Her arthritis, full body pain and stuff. Yeah.
And chronic constipation, she said too. As
yeah, right.
It's almost totally gone. She said that was one of the first things that, between the reduction in pain of her arthritis, but she started to get more regular. She's like, wow, it's like and she goes, I could feel the energy moving inside my body. I could feel that this is working. And so she said something very poignant, which her sisters and her friends who have got started on the patches, the moment they heard this message on your broadcast, by the way, they heard about these patches, it resonated with them and they knew that this was what they were looking for. This is not going to resonate with everyone, but for the people, for those of you, for the person right now who's looking at this broadcast, at any moment in time, just know that if this is resonating with you, if this feels right, if, sometimes when we think in terms of right or wrong, is this the right thing for me to do or the wrong thing to do? Sometimes it's hard to figure out, should I do this? Shouldn't I do this? But I like to tell people, let's think about it in a different way. Interestingly enough, this is phototherapy, so it's wearable light technology. But if you think about it from a light perspective, think about, okay, as you think about moving forward with this, does it feel lighter or darker for you to do this or not to do this? So just compare and contrast. If it feels lighter for you to do this, then move forward. That's an indicator that your body is saying subconsciously, move forward with this. But if it feels dark or heavy to do this, then I would say, don't do this, because there's something that's not right in your system that's telling you for you not to go forward. We know that all mammals, humans, quadrupeds, cats, dogs, horses, goats, it doesn't matter. The animal kingdom, they all benefit because we all have stem cells. That's what formed us in the womb. And that's what takes us all the way till we take our last breath. The fact that this is resonating with you and you feel lighter just about the thought. Some people have told me, there's like, oh, I saw your YouTube, or I saw your Facebook or your Instagram or whatever social media. And they're like, immediately my body lunged forward as soon as I was hearing this. Like, I couldn't hear enough about it. I knew that I was looking for something organic and holistic. I didn't want to load up my body with all sorts of things that were going to have my liver and my kidneys take a hit, because now it's going to create all these other side effects that are direct effects. So they knew, they're like, this just resonated with them. And they're like, I got to get this. I don't know all the details, but I need to get started on this, and I can learn as I go. So I think that just as a life principle, moving in the direction with things that feel lighter in weight, lighter in luminosity, as opposed to things that are darker and heavier. Something is dark and heavy, that's kind of telling you to like take a pause button and maybe reevaluate if you should go forward.
Well, and I also think just learning about David Schmidt, the founder and inventor, and how high his ethics are, and how brilliant he is, and how awake he is to what's going on in the world. If you know what I mean, it's very comforting to know that that we're a part of this community that is trying to heal the world, basically.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And to mitigate what's coming next.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's something to note, because there's a fair level of fear because of what has happened over the last 3-4 years that we've experienced. And, it's obviously a very undesirable thing. With that being said, it put certain things in light that were covered for a long time that we weren't aware that were there. So now more truth, has been revealed. So I think as we move forward, just knowing that, there are infinite possibilities, and there are things that haven't been invented yet. Case in point, we had, there was an FDA hiccup where we couldn't say stem cell activation prior to January 1st, because in the fall, the FDA said, even general wellness products that use phototherapy, photobiomodulation to activate your stem cells, even if they do activate GHK2 copper peptide in the blood, it's not appropriate for you to say that. So then we had to go, okay, so now we have to, and of course, David's going, what? You're saying that now stem cells are a drug? Are you going to say my bones, my muscles, my brain is a drug? I don't think so. So he's an inventor. So what did he do immediately? It's like, okay, we're going to still follow the letter of the law. We're still going to cross our I's, dot our T's, and so forth. But we are going to invent. There's no limit to how many things we can invent. He can invent, specifically him, because he is like, a modern day Tesla, where he has over 150 patents. It's insane. And he popped out a new invention in less than 4 months, already patented, and all sorts of different things, which there's something that's going to be announced this Saturday, by the way.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know what? We have to trust and know that there's a power that made the body. There's an infinite source intelligence. I like to call it God. It's not male or female, but it's the infinite source intelligence that really masterminded how we are. And that has no bounds. It has no limitations. It's abundant. And so any challenge that we have always comes paired with a solution.
An answer. Exactly.
And so if it doesn't exist yet, have no fear, because it will appear. It will manifest. It will be invented. Trust me, David's going to be on it. And there's other brilliant inventors that are out there as well. And so we just have to know that infinite source intelligence does have our back. Isn't it interesting that the mother stem cell activation patch, right as the pandemic was about to hit, that's when it came out and it was available to all of us.
No, it's I wish I had known about it back then.
Me too.
That would have helped me a lot. Not get sick.
Yeah. And then 2 years later, the daughter stem cell activation patch. And to think that we already had glutathione, carnosine, and eon prior to 2019. That was already available to us. It didn't get on my radar until 2022. Thank goodness it came onto my radar, came in at the perfect time. I wish it would have come in sooner, but God was priming me, you know, infinite source intelligence, whatever you want to call that master power that is connected to the all. It's what connects the three of us together, connects us to every viewer here, that person who's watching us on the video right now, whatever time, space, dimension, doesn't matter if it's today in 2024 or today in 2025, 26, 27, 28. We're going to be here for a long time because this is evergreen. The bottom line is that everything is provided for. And when we are open and receptive to, okay, like Dr. John, if you notice Dr. John, he's like, oh, I'm going to die from a right bundle branch blockage. I'm going to die, or I'm going to have to, have, knee replacement surgery. No, he's like, there's got to be something on the planet somewhere, somehow that can fix me. That's organic and holistic.
I knew that too when I was sick. And I said, there's got to be something. And I prayed for it. And it came within like a month when I prayed.
Yeah.
I became a nurse because I inherently knew, actually, I was wanting to study medicine. I knew that our bodies could repair itself. I knew that we didn't have to succumb to sickness, decay, and death. And so, found a technology which supports our body's self-healing capabilities.
Exactly.
Like, so excited. I'm like, that's what I'm here for.
Exactly.
What I was here for.
And those points of contrast, because our pain points are part of our purpose. Some people love to hear that, and some people are like, no. But the point is, you do have that contrasting, trust me, when you get hit by a bus and you suffer brain damage, especially when you value your brain so much because you're a holistic care practitioner caring for others there are others who have neurological conditions, and then I be having the neurological condition. Not a pleasant thing to go through, but it's pain with a purpose.
Yeah.
It makes it more relatable. And so now we can speak from personal experience, not just being on the outside helping others, but hey, I had my path of pain that brought me to this purpose. So I know what it's like. I can't know exactly what your pain was like, but I know that mine was pretty miserable. I wouldn't trade my pain with anybody else's in the world because, trust me, I've seen people who have gone through far worse than I, and I don't want to ever, trade places with them. Own what it is. My allotment of what's been given to me was for a purpose. Make no mistakes. I own that. That's fine. But now I can move forward with more empathy, and I can be more proactive, knowing, okay, when I was in that position, I didn't have the bandwidth to remember certain things. I didn't have the bandwidth to do anything more than X, Y, Z. So I can be more supportive and do things that I otherwise would not know to do because I would be in ignorance of that. And you guys are in the same boat too. You have your paths. We would never want to wish that on anyone, even your worst enemy. You don't want to wish that on. But you know what? It gives us a unique perspective. And it's like everybody earns their stripes, whether they want to acknowledge it or not.
Yeah.
You can resist it and push it away, or you can say, you know what? There's a reason for this. And how can I be of greater service moving forward with this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're probably going to wrap up, Lillian, but we did want to draw people's attention to our new website.
Yes. Oh, it is so amazing.
Yeah, and we have there's a section about the patches, and we go over each patch, and then we also have videos for each patch on the product library. I think the video library. So, and we'll put this one on there in the video library as well as on Glutathione. Put it with that patch description too.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want help getting on the patches, give us an email. We'll have links in the description below referencing the study that Lillian shared with us today.
No, and there's links on our website, if they want to schedule a call with us to inquire about if it's right for you or to help us, we can place an order for you. So no problem.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we're willing and able. So just drop us a line.
Yeah.
And I have, in honor of glutathione being our main primary topic today, I want to say for any of the listeners who are watching this Wellness Superheroes podcast and YouTube channel, and on Rumble and TikTok and the other social media platforms. I want to say for any one of the listeners who decides to get started, is if they have 4 other people that they know that get started too, I will gift them a free glutathione patch.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
That's
wow.
great.
Thanks,
As a welcome.
A 30-day supply. That's a, yeah.
30-day supply of glutathione for each one of you that has, 4 friends or family members that decide to get started. I will gift you this. This is normally almost $100, like $79.95 for just one of them. So, and that will be my gift to your people. And so, and in the United States, because it's difficult to get those glutathione, patches mailed overseas, it can be pretty expensive. So we will limit it to the United States residents. You just have to have an address in the United States so we can mail it to a U.S. address.
And as always, thank you, Lillian, for sharing your wealth of knowledge and wisdom and
all the things.
To see
all
you
the things.
Yeah. We thank you. We appreciate you.
Yes.
We
so
appreciate you too.
Yeah.
We totally appreciate you guys having me on here. Looking forward to our series for the remainder of the year. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, Lillian.
All right. Bye, Lillian.
Oh, dear. Well, if you haven't yet, you got to subscribe to us on Brighteon and Rumble, because stuff we're covering, and most recently with our episode with Dr. Bartlett about what's coming next. That's why we talked about glutathione, because this is key for helping mitigate what damage might be planned for us in the near future. So follow us on Brighteon and Rumble, because we're not going to put those episodes on Spotify and YouTube because we don't want to get cancelled. So,
but this one will be on YouTube, but the other ones won't. Yeah, because we've already gotten one
strike
from a doctor that will remain nameless. But it starts with an A and ends with an S. So,
So links to all that
in
the notes below.
Yeah.
And thanks for watching.